With fire season in full force in Colorado, the trees are becoming more vulnerable to the pine beetle, which adds even more fire danger for every tree they kill.
And after the screwworm returned to us decades away, Colorado now has a plan to fight them after the impact to neighboring states.
Let's first take a live look outside right now on your Friday morning. Look how beautiful this sunrise shot is of downtown Denver on your Friday morning. Get ready for the heat to come back once again today. We're talking 90s. Thanks for joining us. I'm Corey Rose.
And I'm Steve Steger. Let's get a look at your weather right now with Katie LaSalle. Katie, I saw somebody yesterday, I think it was Bianchi, called that a top 10 weather day for us yesterday because it was just like perfect. There was a light breeze.
All you need is a jacket.
All you need, yeah. It's like April 26th or whatever.
25th, yeah. 25th. June 11th yesterday, and we saw highs very comfortable, you guys. Sunshine, upper 70s, low 80s. But if you like the 90s, you'll like today. It's going to be hotter. And daytime highs are typically in the low 80s this time of the year. We're watching temperatures climb already in the low 60s downtown to Central Park. And we have seen some strong gusty winds from the south so far. So out to the airport, down over Monument Hill, Castle Rock, portions of the Palmer Divide, you will be finding some gusty winds this morning. Those will calm. Humidity levels on the higher side set to drop, particularly in the mountains. So for today, we're talking wildfire danger once again. Warm, dry, windy, particularly over the western half of the state where the National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning. Humidity levels dropping as low as 6 to 12% and wind gusts across the western slope and the mountains upwards of 35 miles per hour at times. So please abide by fire restrictions, burn bans. It's dangerous for today out west with that humidity and wind, but it's not going to be super windy here for the metro area, just kind of stagnant even into the afternoon. So an ozone action day alert. Higher concentrations of ground level ozone, unhealthy for sensitive groups. And if you fall in that category, may want to limit time outside for today. Stay cool. We're expecting sunshine and highs in the low 90s. So if you liked yesterday's temperatures, Brianna, we are expecting a change for Saturday. Highs will be cooler, upper 70s to low 80s with sunshine. Storm chances, though, on Sunday, details still to come. But how are the roads looking right now?
Very quiet. Katie, thank you so much. Happy Friday, everyone. 5:02 is your time. I'm not tracking anything right now in your traffic impact center. You can see that traffic is so light across the metro area. So a live look from I-25 between 58th Avenue and I-70. So if you're taking those southbound lanes, the express lanes, as well as northbound lanes of I-25, you still should be in pretty good shape. I do want to switch things over to our main maps. You can see across the metro, we are not tracking any crashes or overnight construction. Just a quick heads up, C470, I told you about this construction project yesterday along C470 in Santa Fe. You are going to see closures in that area, and there's going to be detour signs for you as well. If you're taking Highway 36 this morning, you're looking at a nice 18-minute drive, and not far from that CDOT camera that I just showed you. So southbound I-25 from 144th down to 76, only about 8 minutes.
Brianna, thank you. So as we know, the fire season is here for Colorado. The risk for fires in our state is high all the time, but especially in the summer.
That is making another problem even harder to solve: pine beetles. The trees in our forests are already stressed, making them even more vulnerable to the hungry beetles. A new report from the State Forest Service found the mountain pine beetle outbreak increased almost 150% across 9 Front Range counties. The dry conditions make trees more vulnerable to the pest, and the more trees they kill, the more fuel for wildfire they leave behind.
This caused for alarm only because of its position around high traffic corridors and, of course, where people live, where there's a lot of infrastructure, right? Life, property, and, of course, egress issues when we're thinking about fire, but also some of our water resources are all located in these areas as well.
There is a bigger issue with all kinds of bugs that eat our trees, not just this one species of pine beetle. The governor even launched a task force this past winter to figure out how to tackle the problem in our state.
Colorado has prepared a plan to respond to the New World screwworms impacting neighboring states. The screwworm is a fly larva that eats living flesh. The insects have returned to the U.S. after decades away. There are several confirmed cases in New Mexico and Texas. They lay their eggs in the wounds of animals. The Colorado Department of Agriculture is implementing new rules in response. It includes banning infected animals from entering the state and requiring animals to be inspected by a veterinarian upon arrival. Pet owners also need to follow these protocols for cats and dogs.
President Trump's Department of Education says it is investigating another school district in Colorado for civil rights violations. It's the latest in a string of allegations against schools in the Denver metro area. An education policy expert tells 9 News the constant threats to defund districts is unlike anything he's seen before. Cherry Creek Schools is the latest district to find itself under investigation. The government says they got complaints from parents about clubs and parent committees that discriminate based on race, pointing to one parent group called the Voices of Color Committee. The feds also say some classroom programs and teacher training courses focused on equity discriminate against white students. It is the 3rd time the Department of Education has opened a civil rights investigation into a Denver metro area district in the past year. There have been threats of enforcement action against the Denver and Jeffco school districts, claiming that gender-neutral facilities in those schools violate the rights of female students. Kevin Wellner is a research professor at CU Boulder and the director of the National Education Policy Center. He says the Trump administration isn't following the traditional investigation process. Instead, they're publicizing allegations and threatening action before a thorough investigation is complete.
I think shock and awe is probably a good description of the strategy that the administration has been using. The administration has been, with regard to higher education and with regard to K-12, using a dramatically increased threat of withdrawing federal funding to compel school districts and other governmental entities into compliance even before that full investigation.
Wellner points out that a thorough investigation into any of the districts would be difficult since the Trump administration has gutted the Department of Education and its Office of Civil Rights. Cherry Creek Schools says it is still reviewing the complaint.
Xcel Energy is asking for permission to raise electric rates for customers. If proposed, the increases gets approved, and that gets approval from state regulators, it would be one of the biggest hikes in Colorado history. The hearing process began yesterday. It'll help determine whether regulators approve, change, or reject the proposed rate hike later this summer. Xcel says the increase is needed to pay for grid upgrades, reliability, and other infrastructure, but consumer advocates argue customers are already paying too much.
This is going to have real world impact on our families that we're trying to help. And seeing this increased need for service on top of a mild winter when we're looking at a hot summer does provide concern for ESC.
Public Utilities Commission is also encouraging the public to weigh in. There will be a public comment hearing on Tuesday. You can also submit comments online, by email, by mail, or by phone.
The Pentagon has ended a lockdown after what officials are calling an air quality issue. A Pentagon spokesman confirmed that sophisticated systems had detected an air quality issue. Employees inside were told to shelter in place. The lockdown lasted about 2 hours. President Trump claims he has a deal with Iran to end the war, and it should be finalized within the next few days.
The details are not clear, though, and Iran has not commented on any deal. This comes after the president canceled strikes against Iran that were scheduled to be carried out last night. The U.S. sent a fresh round of missile strikes into Iran Thursday, targeting communication networks and air defense sites. And the president went on Fox News Thursday morning and promised more bombing. Now he's abruptly canceled those scheduled attacks, writing, "Discussions with Iran over a potential diplomatic agreement were signed off on by Iranian leadership."
That Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, which was the whole purpose of what we had to go through to get this.
President Trump says the naval blockade on Iranian ports will be in full force until the transaction is finalized.
Yesterday, First Lady Melania Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced the launch of Fostering the Future accounts. It is a spin-off of the Trump Accounts investment funds meant to give $1,000 to every newborn whose parent opens one.
For the first time, children in foster care will have access to a dedicated savings and investment vehicle, Fostering the Future accounts. Fostering the Future accounts give foster children the same chance for asset ownership and long-term wealth building as every other American child.
Building on her work helping foster children, Melania Trump said the new federal guidance will give child welfare agencies the ability to act as a guardian for children in foster care for the purposes of opening an account. The accounts will be open for contributions on July 4th.